Gaming Bolt presents 15 glaring mistakes done by video games and you choose to ignore them. Have you ever stopped and observed something that was clearly a mistake? Something you had noticed several times before, but that you didn't really pay much attention to until now. Those mistakes are pretty much everywhere, especially in video games. It's not like any of the games on this list suffer for it. Well, at least we hope they don't, so don't worry. Regardless, here are 15 glaring mistakes done by said games that you choose to ignore. Dead Space 3 Co-op Cutscenes. Visceral Games' Dead Space 3 is often considered the low point of the series, but it also introduced co-op, which is tons of fun. And while the actual gameplay is designed well around it, there can be some inconsistencies. Some cutscenes will see your co-op partner in them mysteriously, and others, well, they won't. It's weirder than it sounds, but at times you may not even notice. Fallout 3 Lockpicking a destroyed door. One of the funnier instances in Fallout 3 is when you come across this door that requires 100 lockpick skill. This door, which is half destroyed and made of flimsy wood that you could easily blast open with one of your hundreds of weapons, which also includes a mini tactical nuke launcher. Yeah, okay Bethesda, whatever you say. Resident Evil 4 Leon's Eternal Handgun. Many cutscenes in games don't really account for the fact that you have other weapons equipped. While it's understandable for pre-rendered cutscenes, the actual in-game scenes can have some odd moments as a result. Like when Leon in Resident Evil 4 always has his handgun, even if you sell it off. Granted, this was done so some scenes don't come off as weird, but that doesn't account for Halo, Master Chief's changing weapons. Missions where the cutscenes show you with one weapon, but the actual gameplay starts you with different weapons. Case in point, Halo, where Master Chief can be seen with an assault rifle in one scene, but then the actual mission has him using a shotgun and a plasma pistol. Which isn't bad actually, but just comes across as weird. Super Smash Bros. Brawl Tripping. In Super Smash Bros. Brawl, your characters can trip. This isn't actually a result of commands you use. No, tripping is actually random. Why? If it's meant to be more realistic, why don't some characters trip more than others given their mass and how they're moving? Tripping was subsequently removed in the fourth game, but it can be all sorts of bizarre when observed closely in Brawl. Assassin's Creed 11 Steps to Quit. Older games like Assassin's Creed had some truly odd UI design. Did you know that it roughly takes 11 button inputs to actually quit a game when inside of a memory? No, seriously, try it. First you exit the memory, then you exit Desmond's scene, then you head to the main menu and load your profile. Then you hit exit. Control-Alt-Delete may be the actual solution here. The Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion. Paintbrushes mock your physics. Paintbrushes in the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion have an odd quirk. There's no physics applied to them. Drop paintbrushes float in midair, for instance. Because of this, you can actually walk on paintbrushes and use them as bridges to get to higher places. It's possible to scale the Imperial Palace using this method, though how you get down is a completely different story. Read, make a separate file beforehand. Quantum Break. FRAPS in the ending scene. The ending to Quantum Break has a strange watermark in the topmost part of the scene. You may not even notice it for how small it is, but that's actually the FRAPS URL. It's something that appears when using an unregistered version of the software. Remedy head Thomas Buha noted that it was a mistake that happened at the chaotic end of Quantum Break's development. It's still pretty funny regardless. Double Dragon 3 Bimmy and Jimmy. Starting up Double Dragon 3's two-player mode will show the characters' names as Bimmy and Jimmy. The problem? Bimmy is actually Billy, and no, it's not a translation error from the original Japanese release. It would lead to the creation of Bimmy and Jammy in Double Dragon Neon, who were mistranslated mutants as per their introduction. Resident Evil Revelations. Box art spelling mistake. The box art for Resident Evil Revelations on the Nintendo 3DS is host to one of the bigger spelling mistakes seen in a while. If you take a look at the side, you'll notice that the I is in the wrong place. To say that Capcom was unhappy about this is an understatement. Thankfully, it put processes into place to prevent this from happening again. Madden 17, the sun position. Remember that phrase from Shanghai Noon about the sun rising in the east and setting in the west? Well, in Madden NFL 17, which is supposed to be the definitive American football simulator, the sun is actually on the wrong side. This means it sets in the east. Even more hilarious is the fact that this glitch wouldn't be fixed until next year's iteration. But we bet you wouldn't have even noticed in the first place without the collective powers of Owen Wilson and Jackie Chan. Resident Evil 4. Hey Chief, I need your eye. Removing the fake eye from the crazed village chief in Resident Evil 4 is essential for making progress. After a crazed battle with the chief, you take the eye, but if you look at the corpse afterwards, the eye is still there. Guess the eyes still have it in this case. Right, guys? Anybody? Moving on. Mortal Kombat fatalities on Shiva. Shiva has all sorts of weird things going on in Mortal Kombat, primarily due to the fact that she has 4 arms compared to many characters with only 2. For instance, one of Baraka's fatalities will only show off her upper arms. Destiny. Raid boss movement. Bosses in Destiny have always had their quirks. Initially, they had large health pools and stood in one place, firing and occasionally moving. Later, strike bosses like Darkblade and Saber sort of fixed this, but it still hasn't changed Bungie's approach to raid boss design. Whether it's Atheon, Axis, Crota, who does cycle to one spot and then back, or Orcs. Every boss has several moments where they just stand around soaking up damage after you do a thing. Then it's lather, rinse, and repeat. The Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion. Voice acting is hard. When roaming around the Imperial City, you'll encounter one NPC talking about the Arcane University. At some point, you'll hear the voice actor say,
"Wait a minute, let me do that one again."
Yes, a retake prompt was actually left in the game. This is more of an error you have to actually search for, but it's still amazing how it was just left in the game. And that'll be about it for this one. If you guys like what we're doing at Gaming Vault, please consider subscribing to our channel, and I'll see you guys on the next video.